This bit on dividend discount models is sponsored by Examinator Online, the platform to go to for SFC exam practice questions. Now, the dividend growth model, which is one of the dividend discount models, is almost always examined with numerical questions. This bit shows you how to perform the calculation. Before we look at the dividend growth model, we will consider the theoretical underpinnings to that model, which is generally the dividend discount models. Now, dividend discount models value a share by discounting future cash flows related to dividends and the disposal of the share at some time in the future. Now, the one period model, which is on the screen, shows us the next dividend plus the price of the share, both at the end of period one, let's say a year. So in 1 year's time, we will receive a dividend and we will sell the share for the price at the end of period one. Both will be estimates, and we discount those back 1 year by dividing by 1 plus R, the required rate of return. If we were looking at holding the share for 2 periods, we would discount the dividend after 1 year by dividing by 1 plus the required rate of return. And then we would add to that 2 cash flows at the end of year 2. The dividend at the end of year 2, as we estimate, and the price of the share that we sell it for at the end of year 2, again an estimate. And we discount that back 2 years by dividing by 1 plus the required rate of return raised to the power 2. Now we can extend this for multi-periods by introducing n periods going forward. And you can see the first 2 dividends, dividend 1, dividend 2, being discounted back 1 year, back 2 years, and then ultimately dividend n in the future plus price at n period divided by 1 plus r raised to the n. Let us look at an example using the dividend discount model. It is expected that Longbow Limited will pay dividends of $3, $3.30 and $3.70 at the end of the next 3 years respectively. If an investor expects to hold Longbow shares for 3 years, then sell them for $48, so we're being given all the cash flows, calculate the current value using an 8% discount rate, that is an 8% required rate of return. So what is the value? We take the first cash flow. We're told the end of year 1, it is $3. We discount that back 1 year by dividing by 1 plus the required rate of return, the discount rate 1.08 raised to the power 1, which we don't show, plus the dividend year 2, $3.30, we discount back 2 years by dividing by 1 plus the required rate of return raised to the power 2, discounting back 2 years. And at the end of year 3, we receive the dividend of 3.70 plus what we dispose of, theoretically, the share in 3 years' time, 48. And we discount that back 3 years by dividing by 1.08 raised to the power 3. And the answer is 46.65. Now, if you were given these details in a question, you've only got 1.5 minutes to perform it. It's a tall order. If you are confident, you rattle the numbers down onto paper, do the calculation, and hopefully the answer will be there for you. If there is no answer, move on and come. These are one of the questions that you come back at the end of the exam and with a cooler head attempt again. Now, moving on to the dividend growth model, which is a favorite for examiners. And as it says at the top, if we adapt the dividend discount model where the value is in a steady state, so it's this is for larger companies that are not volatile, and dividends grow at a constant rate, and we assign G for the growth rate, we have the dividend growth model, and there it is in the box. So the value is the next dividend, that is so important, D1, and the next dividend is D0, that is the dividend that has just been paid, and we grow it 1 year, we multiply it by 1 plus G divided by R minus G, rate of return minus the growth rate, which can be shown as the next dividend, D1, divided by R minus G. Where does the dividend growth model come from? We don't have to worry, but we have to be very familiar with it and be able to plug in the numbers to perform the calculation. And let's do that. Gemma Limited stock has an investor's required return of 7.8%. That is R. The recent $2.50 dividend, the recent, is expected to grow at 5% indefinitely. What you've been given is D0 250, not D1. You're given G of 5%, and the current stock price is $104. Calculate the estimated value of Gemma stock. Okay, you're given the current stock price. Is that the value of Gemma stock using the dividend growth model? Well, here it is. So you take the dividend that's just been paid, $2.50. You grow it by multiplying it by 1 plus the growth rate, 1.05, divided by, and it has to be shown in decimals, 7.8% minus 5%, which is 0.078 minus 0.05, and you get 93.75. So your assumption is that the stock price is overvalued in the market. $104 is way beyond what you value the share at using the dividend growth model. Be familiar with the formula and be able to calculate share price quickly when you are given details in a question. And as ever, to prepare yourself for the exam, practice questions are vital, and there are practice questions on the dividend discount model and the dividend growth model on Examinator online.